Right. Hello and good afternoon. My name is Iqbal. We'll be doing the operations management today on your level 4 course. Yeah. So today we'll be looking at the LO1, which is learning outcome number 1, which is to know about the ways in which effective operations management can benefit tourism and hospitality businesses. There are 3 learning outcomes, or there are 3 learning assessment criteria we'll be covering. Okay, and the first one is to look at the evolution of operations management from manufacturing sector to the service sector. The second criteria, which we'll be looking at, is 1.2, and that will be to explain how operations management has become a managerial function in the tourism and hospitality industry. And the third learning assessment criteria will be to look at the ways in which operations management can be used to create customer value and competitive advantage. Okay, and then we'll look at the overall learning outcome, how it's effective for the operations management in the tourism industry. Is that okay? Okay. So let's look the overall aim of the unit. The aim of the unit is to provide learners like yourself with an understanding of operations management within the tourism and hospitality industry. Now, tourism and hospitality industry has become a very important industry over the years because of increase in people moving around, immigration and emigration to other countries. So it's become very important industry in the sense. Okay, and a lot of people visiting other different places. So it is even become more important. And so the operations management is very crucial subject within the tourism industry, right? The second aim of the unit aim is to look at the specific focus on the systems, processes, project, and quality management skills associated with this function. And the thirdly is we need to look at the learners' development and how they apply operations management to their knowledge in the tourism industry or the hospitality business, so that they can have a good knowledge of the function. Okay, so these are the overall unit aims. So there are 4 learning outcomes as such. So we'll be only looking today the LO1. Okay, and what we'll be covering today in LO1 is we're going to look at the as I said earlier on, the evolution or the development of the operations management. We'll look at the processes of managerial function, i.e. what are the important managerial functions, what are the important processes, okay? And we'll be looking at the how operations management is run and how does it affect the hospitality industry, and what are the decision-making processes, and how it affects the organization's profits and so on. Okay, and the other one is how we can achieve competitive edge over the competitors. So these are the general contents we'll be looking at. Okay. Okay. All right. The key terminology. I mean, have you heard operations management before? I am sure you not have. So what is operations management? It's a study of it's a study and practice of dealing with planning, organizing and controlling business resources or business operations, daily business, okay? And to make sure that they are run efficiently, these operations are running efficiently and effectively to produce goods and services in an organization, okay? The resources means, you know, the people, the processes, the materials, the systems like, you know, the IT equipment and the, you know, all the resources that have been at the disposal of an organization, they are run in efficiently so that the operations, so that the daily effectiveness, so that the daily, you know, going on business of an organization is run smoothly. Okay, so this is what operations management is about. Okay, this will feed into the organizational objective, which is strategic objectives, or the you know, the functional objectives. So it will all feed into the strategic functions of the organization and make it a better organization. So that's the purpose of the operations management. Okay, main goal is to look at the using the resources optimally. Okay, making sure that the organization uses its labor, materials, equipment, all the resources that it has in order to deliver services timely, efficiently, cost effectively, so that the costs are utilized to the best of their ability, so that labor is used to the best of their ability in order to minimize or minimize the cost and maximize the efficiency. Okay, it looks at the procurement or the operations management specifically looks at activities like product design, procurement, i.e. the inventory management, stock management, in other words, production planning, quality control, scheduling, distribution. So when we are talking about the production, or when we are talking about the operations management, it used to be called production management in the past, but now over the years it has become operations management. So the main goal is to to look at the activities and making sure that they are run efficiently, right? So that's the main underlying goal of the operations management. Okay, who and what do operations managers do? So you may ask, what's the job of operations management? What do they do? What sort of training they have? What sort of activities they do? Now, these managers, operations managers, are people who are responsible for making sure that the decisions that they affect the overall decision or running of the operations, daily operations, they are making sure that these are run smooth, to ensure that these are one process is connected directly to the other. So making sure that the processes are streamlined, making sure that the productivity is maximized, making sure that the costs are controlled, making sure that the customers' expectations are met by coming onto the premises of organization, and making sure that they are catered for, or the organization is utilizing the maximum resources to make their needs and expectations right. So this is what the operations managers do. They make sure that the various tools and techniques are utilized to improve efficient running of the organization, right? So the operations managers, making sure that they look at all these efficiently, so they make sure that the processes are transformed into an effective input and output with efficient resources. Okay, so that's what they do. The overall objective is to improve the efficiency and running of the organization, so that everybody is happy and everybody runs efficiently, and they know what they're doing. Okay, so that's what the production, the operations managers, that's what they do. Okay, let's watch this video for a few minutes, and it'll give you some idea. Okay,
let's do this. Today I'll talk about operations management. In our day-to-day lives, we routinely deal with both physical goods as well as services. But where do these products or services come from? This is where operations management comes into play. Looking closely at the production of such goods, we're able to take a peek inside the black box, which is the production process. Operations management can be defined as the management of the entire process that transfers inputs into outputs. Outputs are said physical goods or services. Inputs can be material, manpower, and machines. Here's an example from the car industry. The material, metal in this case, is supposed to be reshaped by a machine. This machine, a press in our example, is operated by a machine operator. The metal thus becomes, through the transformation process, a finished component, which is assembled on a car as the output of this process. A central aspect of operations management is the improvement of the transformation processes, which can be accomplished by concepts such as total quality management, Kanban, or total productive maintenance.
Okay. Are you with me,
Yeah,
Tulani?
yeah,
Did you see this video for a few minutes?
yeah.
Okay, so the main purpose, what was the main purpose of the operations management?
Main, sorry, main.
What's the main
Purpose.
purpose of operations management? What we're talking about, the operations management. So when we see this a small video and the explanation that we done earlier on, what's the main purpose of operations management? Why, you know?
Make efficiency and effectiveness. Good. Make make goods and services with efficiency and effectiveness.
All right. Okay. So making sure that these processes are continuously monitored. In other words, they are progress from one stage to another. In other words, this example that you've seen producing a car, so the its operations management makes sure that the raw materials are turned into the finished goods, and then they're processed into finished goods, then they sold to customers, so the productivity increases, so everybody is happy about the efficiency in the running of the organization, and the materials are processed and men are used. So the 3 M's, in other words, machine, men, and materials are used to produce these goods and services to run efficiently. Yeah, so that's what the operations yeah. So in order to turn the raw materials into finished goods using labor efficiently, so that's the whole thing. Okay, that's the main purpose of the operations management. In other words, to make sure that everything runs smoothly to achieve the objectives efficiently and so on. All right. Right. Let's look at the evolution of operations management, i.e. how is this evolved over the years. Okay, so if you look at this chart, okay, so the evolution of operations management from where it was, where it started to where it's now, you can look at the chart and it describes the various stages, from 1776 up to 1980 up to today. So the operations management started in the Industrial Revolution back in 1770s. Industrial Revolution started in England, and the main contributor or the main person who contributed to this concept was Adam Smith. The specialization of labor. He was an economist. Okay, so Adam Smith introduced this term back in 1770 during the Industrial Revolution. Okay, where he looked at different tasks, tasks, and he says, okay, let's break these tasks into, or units into tasks, and see what the productivity is, and people become specialists in tasks. Okay, so they broke down in tasks into different stages, and then everybody has to do different tasks. So people, as they use their tasks, they became masters of their tasks. Okay, so that was the beginning of the operations management, i.e. the tasks were divided into subtasks and everybody became specialists and the productivity increased. Okay, so this is where it started back in the 1770s during the Industrial Revolution. Then it came into the later in 1900s, okay, or 1799, and it moved on to division of labor into different types of used by time study, time and motion study, and by Charles Babbage, who introduced the computer or the machine. So Charles Babbage was also a production engineer, and he used these skills to introduce operations management. Then during the 1900s, it became scientific management, time and motion study, or used to be called time of work study, whereby the tasks were broken down, and people also used the specialization that was introduced by Adam Smith into time and motion study. They looked at the task, people were timed. And this was studied by Taylor and Galbraith, the scientists, and so on. Okay, so the revolution of scientific management, when the mass production was introduced, this became very common thing to look at the time and motion study, interchangeable parts, and division of labor, right? So this is where it's evolved. Later on, it evolved into human relations movement, i.e. a human relations movement by people like, they studied what you call Hawthorne experiment, okay, in America. They looked at people, they looked at different production processes, and they gave people breaks during the production, and some people they didn't give breaks. So they compared both groups and see who fared better, somebody with breaks or somebody who continuously worked from morning till evening and then they went home. So they compared what's it called, Alton Mayo, right? He looked at both groups and he compared their productivity and came to the conclusion that people who got a few breaks during the day with a cup of tea and a cup of tea with a biscuit, they produced more. Even though they had a few breaks during the day, they produced more because they were happy, they were relaxed, they were, had a good chat amongst themselves as well. And they were cohesive group, and they, produced more than the people who continuously worked and they didn't have any break. Because why do you think that might have been?
They have relaxed.
Maybe people who didn't have breaks, maybe they were tired, maybe they didn't enjoy the work, maybe they had a mental blockage, for example, or a physical blockage. They couldn't do more than they could because they didn't have rest. So they were there because they wanted to input the hours, and then they continued. But from the bottom of their hearts, they didn't really, maybe they didn't, they didn't give full the attention to the, because they weren't happy or something like that. And people who had breaks, they were relaxed and they enjoyed the work and they produced more. Okay, so that was the human relations movement. They studied them. Then during 1960s, during 70s, decision models, became in. For example, people studied organizational behavior. People studied, introduced new methods of learning in organizations. They introduced a kind of learning organizations. They looked at different types of operations. They looked at policies. They looked at applications. Different types of operations, different techniques, models, and so they devolve even more better. Introduce some kind of term like total quality management, or economic models or decision models like total, quality, or other, types of models that they introduce into the organizations, like quality circles and quality control, or production activities using materials, or using a different type of models, using computers, right? So they got even better. Then the Japanese manufacturers, influence of Japanese manufacturers in cars, they introduced more decision making, more types of different quality circles into the organization, into the operations management, and so it evolved even more up till today. Okay, so we can devise that operations management era into 6 eras of operations management, as you can see from this diagram. Okay, so we started, for example, there are 6 eras we can divide into cost and efficiency, for example, cost on quality, focus on customization. There was focus on time and motion, focus on service, focus on sustainability these days, right? So these, you can have a 6 types of eras on operations management during different decades over the years, okay, up till today. So it has evolved. Over the years, the operations management has come a long way from where it started to where it's now, okay. Mainly the operations management started in the manufacturing sector, okay, and gone into the service sector later on. So in the manufacturing industry, the main focus was on manufacturing, improving the manufacturing, in improving the unit cost, improving the production, and making sure that the goods are produced efficiently and effectively with the lowest possible cost, using all these processes, which is we're talking about the input and the processing and the output, i.e. the materials, the inventory, and improving the quality control, improving the quality circle, improving the production, improving the products on assembly lines, and the concepts developed like total quality management, to make sure that the costs are streamlined, making sure that the reduced costs, making sure that the product is efficient and come out with the minimum time efficiently, okay. So the main focus was the manufacturing sector, okay. Then it evolved into service sector. The main focus then was to look at the service sector in order to make sure that it introduces challenges posed by the intangibility or variability or persistability of services, i.e. you need to making sure that the manufacturing units have some kind of a service involved in them by delivering of products, making sure that the customers are happy, making sure that the healthcare of people is looked into, making sure that the transportation or other consulting services are taken into account, so that the service industry, so the service sector improves, okay. So the major focus was on the services, yeah. So it diverted its, improved its attention from manufacturing then into service sector by introducing service sectors, by introducing service levels, by introducing quality, customer satisfaction techniques like total quality management, and looking at the inspection, making sure that the minimum defects are there, little wastage or eliminate wastage, making sure that customers are happy, making sure that they're, so different techniques that have been introduced over the years into service quality, like employee training, like the service design, like the customer interaction, like making sure that the Six Sigma and lean management are, introduced into the organization so that the service improves, right? So it has developed from the manufacturing into the service, okay? And so by the introduction of technology and automation, again, it has evolved even more so over the years, okay? Because the introduction of robotics, artificial intelligence, and data analysis or data analytics have even more revolutionized the operations management over the years, because the technologies have changed, because the online booking systems or the service sector has changed into different, into different types. Main thing is still on improving the efficiency, reducing costs, and making sure that you stay competitive and have sure that there is a competitive edge to your competitors, making sure utilize the technologies to deliver customer services, to deliver the customer experience, making sure that you introduce new things and improved service over the years, or improved service into the sector, and making sure that these, you identify the market trends, market needs, making sure that you rapidly design and launch new innovative services to meet changing customer needs over the year, because the customer has gone into, they have become more aware, they've become more modern, they've become more civilized, in other words, they've become more aware of the, the needs and demands of their own. Okay, so the operations management has moved away from mainly manufacturing to service industry, all right? And it has come through manufacturing roots are there, but the continuous improvement over the years, all right? Are we with this?
Yeah.
Okay, so it's not a new concept, it's an old concept evolved over the years into more kind of a efficiency, making sure that you stay competitive ahead of the game and making sure that the customer is the main focus these days. So in summary, the operations management has evolved from the service, from the manufacturing service to the service sector over the years. Okay, it has moved away from the traditional manufacturing principles to the characteristics of operations, service operations. Okay, its emphasis is to improve the quality service, to improve this customer satisfaction, it improve to customer centricity, making sure that the use of technology is to the utmost, and making sure that the innovation or the innovative customer services they're utilized to deliver exceptional quality service to satisfy customer and stay in competition and stay better than your competitors. So that's been evolved over the years, right? So that's just to do a little bit of evolution and how it has evolved. So the 1.1 was to look at how the service sector or how the operations has evolved over the years, right? From the manufacturing sector, it has gone into the service sector, right? And this is very important when we are talking about the service sector or the operations management, when we're talking about the industry, as you are concerned with, travel and hospitality industry, right? It has more even gone more into the into this type of customer service as a very important sector in that particular, because it involves people all the time. Is that right?
Yeah.
Right. So therefore there is an emphasis on customer service all the time, and this is very important in when we're talking about the operations management in hospitality industry and tourism industry. So how this has become, so how the operations management has become an important function in the tourism and hospitality industry is we're going to look at number 2. Okay, we're going to talk about how it's become more important, how the operations management has become an important managerial function in this in the industry, mainly to do with efficiency. Again, mainly to do with the operations management plays very important part in streamlining the efficiency of these processes, because you're talking about customers, you're talking about the allocation of resources. You want to make sure that the minimization of wastage and improving productivity in order to increase profitability, making sure that they can reduce costs and to deliver what the customer wants, to deliver the quality service, to making sure that you are there to deliver quality expectation by the quality that your customers are expecting, making sure that the employees even are expecting quality service from the training or the standardized procedures that they'll follow. They are, of course, there to get the quality service from the management, from the operations management. And the operations management wants to make sure that all these expectations are met even by the internal expectations of organization. Okay, the other thing is we want to make sure that this function, forecasts properly, forecasts efficiently, making sure that the capacity planning is done properly, making sure that the department or the operations department looks at the data and make sure that they use that particular historical data, like a market data or the customers data, make sure that it forecasts demand for the particular industry or for the particular but room booking, for example, or tourism, or they uses the extrapolation to make sure that the resources are employed efficiently using particular data in, making sure that this the utilization of data is looked at accurately during peak seasons, because we want to make sure that the demand and supply is there, or the demand is fully met when there's a lot of demand of products in the high seasons. Yeah. Okay, so the more the demand, the better utilization of these resources, but you want to make sure that the forecasting, the capacity building, the historical data that you have is used to enable operations management to make sure that the demand is met particularly, and making sure that the allocated resources optimally. Okay, and this will help to utilize efficient resources and get better management revenue, or get management to get the revenue to the maximum. Okay, the other thing is where the operations management comes into supply chain management, i.e. the chain of supply management is not broken. Okay, so the main function of the operation management in the tourism and hospitality management is to look beyond the boundaries of individual organization, making sure that the supply chain, i.e. From one end to the other end, okay, there is a continuous coordination with the different stakeholders, like suppliers, like vendors, like service providers, making sure that the supply chain is not broken into. Supply chain looks at proper maintaining the inventory levels or the supply of material of goods, and the minimize the disruption of the resources, and making sure that all this is controlled. All these are towards the end of the finished product, making sure that there is no disruption into any of these supply materials or labor or machines. So everything's working smoothly from one end to the other. So supply chain is very important. Okay, because the technology of the technological advancement, making sure that the use of technology, like the methods of for example, different different models can be used to implement online systems, or using the computerized methods of controlling resources, like the CRM, customer relationship management, or the total quality management, or online reservation systems. So we want to make sure that these technologies are fully utilized, the software and the hardware, the running of the computers, the tools and the systems of the booking systems, for example, or contacting the airline, or contacting the room managers, and making sure the systems improves, or systems are developed to make sure that all these materials and all these operations are run efficiently, to make sure that the guests experiences well. Okay, so this is why it's important in the industry, in the tourism industry. The other third or fourth factor is sustainability, environmental considerations, i.e. the waste management, i.e. because the tourism and hospitality in environment is such that it can utilizes a lot of products and a lot of products wastage. So this is one of the other important bit. Sustainability, environmental bit is very important, to make sure that there are these materials, these services are utilized, and the tourism industry makes sure that they are utilizing sustainable practices, they are utilizing sustainable products, and making sure that the environmental issues are considered, making sure that the environment is not damaged because we've already global warming, and that the industry should be aware, increasingly aware of these climate change, and making sure that the responsible tourism is incorporated into the eco-friendly initiatives like sustainability, like the energy consumption, looking at the of wastage and promoting green environment, making sure that they promote materials using sustainable sources, making sure that the recyclable materials are used to minimize the wastage, to make sure that the people are aware into how these industries are creating a better environment for the industry, and making sure that the social responsibility, making sure the environmental responsibility are in line with the company's policies or objectives, or the strategic policies of the company. So we want to make sure that there are policies that developed to sustain. Okay, so these objectives are meeting the sustainability objectives into the organizations. So it has evolved. So the 1.2 is makes sure, 1.2 is looks at how operations management has become a managerial function, in the sense that it's the function of the management, the function of the managerial operations managers, to make sure that the resources are efficiently utilized, making sure that there are quality circles, making sure that there are quality assurances, making sure that the total quality management is put into practice, making sure that the demand, making sure the forecasting models, making sure that the capacity building, making sure that the capacity planning is there, making sure that the supply chain is considered, i.e. there is no brokerage of any supply chain, i.e. the chain of the supply is not broken, it's continuous, it's continuously monitored and continuously checked and continuously operatable. Otherwise, if there is a breakage in the any of those, then there is no supply chain is broken, and then the whole thing is not efficiently run. There are problems all over. For example, if the materials are not coming from one place, then you can't provide a service to customers, and you can't produce any goods and services. You can't, carry on in tourism and industry. So one is broken. So you want to make sure that all this is intact, using, of course, the, models, using the IT, using the reservation system, making sure that, the payment is done, making sure that the booking is done through the IT equipment, making sure that there are different models, accounting models that you are going to be using, making sure that the all these utilization of hardware and software and the latest communication technologies, of course. Otherwise, it's going to be difficult, or maybe no contact, and the problems will be never ending. Okay. Also making sure that the operations management has become even more important, in the sense that there's a lot of recycling materials have to be recycled, i.e. the sustainable resources, making sure that the energy is sufficiently used, because of the increasing costs, right? So it's the cost of increasing bills have gone up. So we want to make sure that the bulbs or the electricity is using regeneratable, or using the efficient resources, cost to reduce cost of operation costs. So that's why over the years it has become more important. Okay, the operations management has become a vital managerial function to making sure that all these resources are utilized to the best, to enhance efficiency, to manage quality, to manage forecast, use optimum capacity, use maximum resources to utilize, the optimum capacity is done, to make sure that the supply chain is continuously monitored, making sure use the latest technology to do that, and making sure that the sustainability practices are practiced so that the recycling, so the environment doesn't get damaged. So it has become more important. So the management function, the operations has become a management function rather than was a, just to look at the production services and just to look at the daily routine. So it has become even more important because you want to stay ahead of the game in order to stay well above your competitors and in a longer term. Okay. During so in summary, what we're talking about is to make sure that you stay competitive and you deliver the services. So the operations management has very important role in industry, in the dynamic industry, which is such as yourself, such as your tourism and hospitality industry, because it's always evolving, it's always changing, and there are a lot of competitors around, and therefore you want to make sure that the effective use of all these resources is done. All right. So this is why it's become even more a management function over the years. All right. Any question? Are you okay with this?
Yeah.
So we started the operations management has started from the manufacturing industry, from manufacturing sector, and over through the industrial revolution, and over the many years, over the decade, it has moved away to the service industry, and the focus is utilization of resources to the best. And these days it's more so to make sure that the service industry, it makes sure that the service is delivered to the customers. The focus is on the customer all the time to stay competitive, best use of resources. And this is why important your operations management has become more important. Okay. Looking at 1.3, the criteria that you have is to look at the ways in which operations management can be used to create customer value and competitive advantage. Now, how can we use the operations management to the best of our advantage, to the best of our ability to make sure that we stay competitive and give the customer the best value? Now, we can do that by planning. We can do that by making sure that we do look at our costs. We make sure that we do this by optimizing our processes, i.e. utilization, the best models of say, quality management, or best models of creating customer relationship, or best models of quality to minimize the costs, to minimize the order quantities, to making sure that we utilize the best resources but minimizing costs. Okay, through value chain analysis, through making sure that the value chains are an important business strategy models that we can use. Okay, so the companies use these models to making sure that the customer the customer are serviced, that the customers are valued. So making sure that costs have reduced or costs are saved to maximize the services to the customers while maintaining the profitability, making sure that you maintain your profit in order to stay in game. The focus is on the cost efficiency, reducing costs and maximizing profitability by using the best models of IT, for example. Okay, quality management. The second one is to focus on the quality management, quality controls, to make sure that the continuous improvement, i.e. total quality management, or the continuous professional development, or by training, by making sure that you are training your staff, making sure that the customers are serviced so they will come back, and like a customer feedback and the customer loyalty, to make sure that you provide a competitive service, competitive advantage, to make sure that the quality standards are maintained. Okay, and the third one is making sure that you are responsive to your customers, making sure that you are emphasizing on efficient flow of materials, men, labor, processes, i.e. to minimize lead times. Now, lead time means when you order something, if you want to order a product, by the time how much time you need to get that product into your stores and make use of that. So the lead time is a time from order to the receipt of that particular product, i.e. okay, so you want to reduce that because that you can you want to reduce it, so to reduce costs. Okay, so you can utilize in time, for example, just in time when you need that product, you just company supplier and they'll supply it. So you can use the just in time technique rather than holding stock goods, holding services, because you will have to pay service costs, you have to pay insurance, you have to pay, you call them rental cost, or maybe insuring that particular product. So it's all piling up your costs. Okay, so the just in time means you don't have to hold a stock in base the stores. You don't have to rent a room. Okay, you understand? Yeah, just in time, the technique, just in time is a technique that you utilize whenever you need a particular product, whenever you need a particular service. You just phone these up and they will deliver it to you just in time when you need it. So you don't have to hold any other products unnecessarily. So this is gives you a lot of speed. When you need to products, okay, phone them up, and rather than using economic order quantity, or you must hold a certain quantity in order to all right, you can do away with that kind of technique, economic order quantity, and you just or lean production or other techniques that you can use. All right, so this will be a quick technique to increase your speed and responsiveness. So the operations will improve your operations will improve, increase your customer satisfaction, you will build more better trust, and you will stay competitive. Okay, so this you can use that technique. Okay, another way you can use to optimize cost is look at the operations management by the way of customized products, i.e. you use the tailor-made, or you use the individual customer preferences, and by adopting those flexible delivery times or systems, or service delivery systems, people or the businesses will accommodate different types of customer requirement, provide unique opportunities to stay in business, because you are providing specialist service to that particular. So you are flexible, i.e. you are customizing the product to the needs of the customer, aren't you? You are making sure that the customer gets what they want, not what you are offering, making sure that you adapt, making sure that you change your practices in order to deliver goods and services. So the industry which you are in is very much into that mode. Yes, because they have to deliver the customized service. So for example, if I don't need to book hotel for 7 days, I can just and I don't need to pay a lot of costs. I can use, or the customer hotel management can give me an option to book for 2 or 3 days, or whenever I want, or if I want breakfast, or if I don't need a breakfast, yeah, I can eat out. I don't have to stick to their menus. I don't have to stick to their package. If they don't offer me a package, I will go somewhere else. So they'll have to look at my demand. They'll have to cater my need. Is that right? So when you are a customer, you have to be, you ask the hotel to be more flexible. Maybe they'll offer a discount, maybe they'll offer a loyalty, maybe they'll offer a different kind of a food. If I don't eat meat, they'll probably cater for me a different a type of meal. Yeah, if I don't need a bread. Yeah, so we have to be flexible, and we have to be innovative, i.e. new types of products will be developed. For example, if you don't eat halal food, you'll have to offer some halal offerings these days. You know, when you, it used to be one time, the industry never offer halal food, but these days a vegetarian or non-vegetarian or halal or kosher or whatever, yeah, they provide these services because they need the business, don't they? They need people to come and visit them. Of course, they will have to they'll have to drive new product development. They'll have to, you know, make sure that the customer are happy, and then when the customer is happy, they will return to you. So you are producing new products, you know, introduce maybe a product like I don't know, offering some kind of a cup of tea in addition, or offering teas in addition to room bookings. You know, you provide that particular service to attract new customers, right? And you maybe produce new laundry service, for example, whereas never before, okay? Or you offer a discounted in a premises laundry service we may not be have before, because people used to go out, you know, use this laundry service outside. Okay, so attract and you can introduce new technology, you know, maybe IT, maybe WhatsApp, and give to the customers. They can use that these days. Okay, do you understand? So this is yeah. Okay, so the production, also the production and operations management, of course, has to make sure that these are catered for these days into the industry, into the operations of a tourism and customer into this industry are very important, you know, to make sure that you get these kind of services. Okay, another type of service is, you know, we looked at the sustainability and social responsibility, so that's fine. Okay, so all in all, you know, when we're looking at 1.3, all in all, operations management plays a crucial role in creating customer services, customer value, competitive, to make sure that the speed and responsiveness and the flexibility and the customization of new products are taken all the time, making sure that the you know, the customers are catered for all the time to stay, so you can stay in business. So the customers are driving these changes. So 1.3 basically is looked at how the companies, how the organizations introduce new ways, how the operations management can be used to create customer value, right? By introducing new products, by introducing new ways of doing business, by introducing new ways of you know, attracting customers, to making sure that the customer you know, utilizes a good services, and the company uses you know, friendly processes, making sure that they sustainable services, making sure that they demonstrate, the organizations demonstrate social responsibility and corporate responsibility towards the public, towards you know, making sure that they are utilizing the best of these resources. Okay, so this is what we looked at 1.3. Okay, now all in all together, all in all, during the you know, lecture, during the today's session, we've looked at three main criteria, learning criteria. We said we were going to look at number one, we're going to look at the what is operations management, how it's evolved over the years. Okay, we said we were going to look at the how the operations moved away from manufacturing to the from the manufacturing to the service industry. Okay, we said we were going to look at that, and you know, we tried to look at this over the years, because the service industry has become more important than the manufacturing, and it has started, the operations management started from the manufacturing industry, whereby it was totally on the breaking down of those tasks, making sure that the people become specialists in the operations of a product and utilize them to increase the productivity. So over the years, so the scientific management through the service industry, it has become more emphasis on service rather than a manufacturing industry. But still the emphasis is to make sure that the utilization of resources has become more important, okay? Because the manufacturing was looking at the input, service input, production, and the output, right? But now it has extended into the service industry. So therefore, the service industry has become more important in the tourism and hospitality industry because it has evolved from over the years. Okay, it has gone different stages. So the principles of operations management through the manufacturing, it has become more important into the service industry. Now it's more on a service sector rather than manufacturing industry, okay? Because the drive of efficiency resources, the quality circles, the quality managing circles, utilization of different IT models, different resources, so to make sure that we stay competitive. So it's more on emphasis from input, production to output. It has diverted into the service industry, so the quality. Okay, so make sure that is the emphasis, and the operations management is the key industry or the key function which works with the management, which works with the what you call the strategic managers, making sure that we stay competitive and we stay ahead of the game than our competitive. So the whole idea of the operations management is to make sure that we stay more competitive and make sure what we provide is the best service with the least amount of what you call them, least amount of resources used to stay efficient and better service. Okay, that was the aim of that's the aim of the operations management, and we said we were going to look at these processes and so on. So yeah, so this is what we talked about. We talked about how effective the operations management can be to the tourism industry. Okay, is that okay? Any questions?
No.
Okay, so what you could do now is you've got the login, you've got the materials, have you? You can look up into your login Moodle platform. You can look at these references, or you can type these references on a Google and read about them, or maybe go one of and then see what the operations management is all about. Okay, there are a few references that we have put them on, and they are specifically for management and operations. Okay, you can look at the e-books that we have on our journals in the Moodle, and you can watch different videos on YouTube about operations management, and you can look at the different resources, different teaching resources, or one of the resources is the online resource on value chain analysis. Right, you can look up what's the value chain, what do we mean by value chain analysis, and they can be very helpful in looking at the operations management. You can look up different techniques of operations management. You can look up at so if you read, that'll be a good for you. Okay, that's give you more into the operations management. Yeah. Okay, anything that you are not sure or not or confused about?
No.
Are you okay? So did I confuse you, or you got
No.
Did I try to make you clear about the operations management?
Yeah,
and how effective it is?
it's
And what's
good.
the purpose? Go on.
Sorry,
You were going to say something?
I don't know.
Okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. So you have a lecture tomorrow as well, or what's the
Yeah.
situation? I think we can, yeah, we will see you tomorrow then, hopefully. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very much for joining.
Thank you. Have a good day.
Have a good day, and we'll speak to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you.